This week on the Downsized news, a once-a-day weight loss pill could shake up everything we know about GLP-1s. Pfizer pulls out after a safety scare, and a new report says these drugs might out-earn the iPhone, while millions still can't afford them. Plus, hopeful breakthroughs in dementia, genetics, rare disease, and even what's on your grocery list. If you're using GLP-1s to treat obesity, you don't want to miss this one.
It's Monday, April 21st, and we've got the latest on GLP-1 treatments just for you. I'm Laraine Durham, and I've successfully dropped over 53 pounds using compounded tirzepatide.
And I'm Christopher Durham. I've lost 103 pounds with the help of GLP-1s. Today, we're diving deep into the latest news on GLP-1s from Mounjaro and Zepbound to Wegovy, Ozempic, tirzepatide, Semaglutide, and a couple of new ones today.
Before we get started, a quick reminder, we're not doctors. While we're passionate about GLP-1s and fighting the disease of obesity, it's essential to contact your healthcare professional before starting any new treatment. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and ring the notification bell so you never miss an update. Stick around for all the updates and how they impact the world of GLP-1s.
Story number one, we reported this last week, and it's still the biggest story for anyone using GLP-1s to treat the disease of obesity. Eli Lilly's experimental weight loss pill, or orforglipron, passed a major test. In a phase 3 trial that helped people with type 2 diabetes lower their blood sugar and lose weight without an injection. And here's the headline. Lilly says it'll manufacture these pills right here in the United States. Lilly CEO David Ricks went on Fox Business and said the company is building the biggest active pharmaceutical ingredient factory in the country. That means they'll be ready to launch orforglipron around the world without worrying about supply delays or new tariffs. The pill lowered A1C by 1.6% and helped participants lose up to 16 pounds after 40 weeks. That's big. About two-thirds of people in the trial ended up with A1C levels under 6.5%, which is considered the diabetes threshold. This is a GLP-1 medication like Mounjaro, Ozempic, and Zepbound, but instead of a weekly shot, it's a daily pill. And while needle-free sounds nice, the real win here could be price and access. Pills are cheaper to make, they don't require refrigeration, there's no cold chain distribution. That makes it easier to ship, easier to store, and much more scalable. If Lilly leans into that, it could mean lower prices, and that would be a game changer for millions of people treating obesity. Lilly expects the first approval to be for chronic weight management, not diabetes. They'll submit it to the FDA by the end of the year. If everything goes well, the pill could hit the market in 2026. And this isn't just about one pill. Lilly says it's investing $27 billion in new U.S. facilities. That includes 4 manufacturing plants and 3,000 new jobs for engineers and scientists. Construction work will support 10,000 more jobs. It's still early for orforglipron. Full trial results haven't been published yet. But if you're treating obesity with GLP-1s like we are, and you've been hoping for better access and more affordable option, this might be what you've been waiting for. Lilly plans to publish results and present more data at the American Diabetes Association conference in June. We'll be watching.
In story number 2, Novo Nordisk just confirmed what many were waiting to hear. They've officially asked the FDA to approve a high-dose pill version of semaglutide for weight loss. This is the same drug found in Wegovy and Ozempic, but in a daily pill instead of a weekly shot. If approved, it would be the first oral GLP-1 treatment specifically for obesity, and it could be a game changer for people who don't want injections. So the last story was Eli Lilly with their pill.
Right.
Now it's Novo Nordisk with a pill.
Right, and so this is basically semaglutide, Rybelsus. I think it might end up being branded Wegovy, but we'll see.
In a major clinical trial, people taking the 50 milligram pill version lost an average of 15% of their body weight over 68 weeks. That's serious weight loss. Nearly 85% in the study lost at least 5%, and they didn't need a shot to do it. But Novo isn't alone. As we reported in the last story, Eli Lilly is also racing toward the same goal with its own oral GLP-1 drug, orforglipron. And this is where it gets interesting. Novo's pill is a peptide. That means it's harder to make and has to be absorbed with the help of another ingredient. It also puts pressure on already stretched manufacturing tied to Wegovy and Ozempic. Meanwhile, Lilly's orforglipron is a small molecule drug. It's easier to produce, store, and ship. That could lead to more access and possibly lower prices down the line. In terms of timing, Novo is ahead. They've submitted their pill to the FDA and could see approval soon. Lilly is still waiting on more results from a key trial in people without diabetes. That data is expected this summer, and Lilly could file right after. Both drugs have shown promising results in people with type 2 diabetes, but we'll know a lot more about how they help people with obesity alone once the full data is out. Here's the big picture. Two of the biggest drug makers in the world are racing to bring a GLP-1 weight loss pill to market. And while only one may win the approval race, patients are the ones who truly win because more options, more formats, and better access could all be on the way soon. Yay! I mean, we want more options, right?
We do. All right, story number 3. Late last week, Pfizer dropped out of the race for an oral GLP-1. So this is pill story.
Third pill, but they've dropped out.
They dropped out.
Tell us why.
The company announced it will no longer develop danuglipron, its once-daily weight loss pill. The reason? A patient in the phase 3 trial showed signs of possible liver injury. That injury went away once they stopped taking the drug, but it was enough for Pfizer to pull the plug. This isn't the first issue with danuglipron. Pfizer had already scrapped the twice-daily version last year because too many people couldn't tolerate the side effects, mainly nausea and vomiting. Pfizer had hoped the once-daily version would be easier on the body and compete with drugs like Zepbound and Wegovy. Instead, they ran into another roadblock. According to Pfizer, they reviewed all the data, talked with regulators, and decided that the risk was not worth it. They say the rate of liver enzyme spikes in trials was similar to other GLP-1s, but one patient's case stood out. The company also confirmed that this happened during a study where the dose was increased quickly over a short period of time. So what now? Well, Pfizer says they're still working on other obesity treatments, including one that targets a different hormone, GIPR. That's the same second hormone Lilly uses in Mounjaro and Zepbound, so this could get interesting. The weight loss drug market is massive, expected to top $150 billion in the next few years. Pills are a big part of that. Some analysts think oral GLP-1s alone could be worth $50 billion. Everyone wants in, but this latest setback shows how hard it can be to get there. Pfizer's once-daily danuglipron had shown some promise in early studies. The company even said it could offer competitive efficacy and tolerability with the right dose, but that's all in the past now. Novo Nordisk's Rybelsus remains the only FDA-approved oral GLP-1 on the market right now. All the other big players, Novo, Lilly, and yes, still Pfizer, are racing to find a once-daily pill that works as well as the weekly shots. Pfizer's not out of the game, but with danuglipron officially done, they're definitely behind.
In story number 4, GLP-1s aren't just changing lives, they're changing the entire healthcare industry. A new report from the Initiative for Medicines, Access, and Knowledge, better known as IMAC, says the GLP-1 market could soon be worth more than Apple's iPhone was in its first 10 years. Let that sink in. The iPhone. And yes, that includes all the hype, innovation, and billions in sales. Since launch, GLP-1s have already brought in over $71 billion in the U.S. alone. And according to IMAX analysts, they could rake in another $400 billion by 2030. That's not that far away.
Nope.
That would put total GLP-1 sales at $470 billion. Apple's iPhone brought in around $200 billion during its first decade. That's nearly double. And it's not just hype. Zepbound alone is expected to bring in $66 billion in its first 5 years. That's nearly 10 times what Viagra made. Mounjaro, even more. Wegovy, still massive. These medications are breaking every record. But while the profits are soaring, the prices still sting. Many insurance companies still don't cover these drugs for obesity, and the companies that make them, Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk, are using layers of patents to delay competition. That's a problem, because without competition, prices stay high, and people who need these meds the most often can't afford them. The IMAC report says this has a real impact on health equity. Lower-income patients, often people of color, are being priced out. They're stuck waiting while profits keep rising. Eli Lilly pushed back hard, saying the report is inaccurate. They say they're protecting innovation and preparing for a future with generics. But right now, many people who could benefit from these meds just can't get them. Here's the takeaway. These drugs are powerful. They're changing the way we treat the disease of obesity. But until prices come down and access goes up, millions of people will be left out.
Story number 5, a new study just gave us another reason to be hopeful about GLP-1s. Researchers at the Monell Chemical Senses Center found that GLP-1s like Ozempic and Wegovy may help treat Bardet-Biedl syndrome, or BBS. It's a rare genetic disorder that causes early onset obesity, constant hunger, hormone problems, and sometimes learning and memory issues. BBS is caused by changes in certain genes that affect how cells communicate, especially in the brain and body systems that control appetite, metabolism, and hormones. It affects about 1 in 150,000 newborns in North America and Europe. In the new study, researchers used mice with the same genetic problem seen in people with BBS. These mice overate, gained weight quickly, and had trouble managing blood sugar and hormones. But after being treated with a GLP-1, everything started to improve. The mice ate less, they lost weight, their blood sugar improved, and their hormone levels normalized. Even though their disease disrupted a lot of key pathways in the body, the GLP-1 still worked. That's a big deal. Dr. Areshdeep Singh said these medications seem to target both the brain and the gut, even in a complex condition like BBS. While this study was done in mice, it shows powerful potential. The hard part? Access. Doctors are still cautious without human trials, and insurance companies often refuse to cover GLP-1s for rare diseases like BBS, even when patients could benefit. But this study gives real hope to a group of people who haven't had many options. It's another sign that GLP-1s could do more than we expected. Have you ever heard of this disease?
I don't think I have, no.
No, I think it's fascinating that it would work for them, though.
And story number 6, a major new study just published in Nature Medicine brings good news to anyone using GLP-1 medications to treat the disease of obesity. The headline, these medications work, regardless of your genes. Researchers studied nearly 11,000 people across 6 countries. Over 6,700 of them were on GLP-1 like semaglutide or liraglutide. The rest had undergone bariatric surgery. What the scientists wanted to find out was whether your DNA, your genetic risk for obesity or diabetes, affected how much weight you could lose with these treatments. Here's what they found. For people on GLP-1s, genetics made almost no difference. Whether someone had a high genetic risk for obesity, type 2 diabetes, or even had rare mutations in the GLP-1 receptor gene, the weight loss was about the same. On average, people using GLP-1s lost about 4 to 6% of their body weight over 6 to 12 months. That number varied slightly depending on which study they were part of, but the results were consistent across the board. Some folks lost more, some less, but overall, the meds worked, and genetics didn't seem to stand in the way. Now let's talk about bariatric surgery. That group lost a lot more, about 21% of their body weight on average. But people with a high genetic risk for obesity did lose slightly less weight after surgery. For every 1 standard deviation increase in genetic risk, they lost about 0.7% less weight. Still, that difference is small. It's unlikely to change medical decisions. There are some other interesting details. Women lost more weight than men, about 1.5% more with GLP-1s and about 2.7% more with bariatric surgery. People who started at a higher weight also tended to lose more. And here's a number that stood out to us. By 2030, it's estimated that 30 million Americans will be using GLP-1 medications. That's nearly 1 in 10 people. So what does this all mean for you? If you're on a GLP-1 and it's working, it doesn't matter what your genes say. And if you struggled with weight for years and think maybe your body is just different, this research says you still have a shot. These medications work for a wide range of people from different backgrounds and with different genetic makeups. The challenge isn't whether they work. It's whether people can afford them and get access to them.
Story number 7, there's a new reason to feel hopeful if you're using a GLP-1 like Zepbound, Mounjaro, or Wegovy. A new study published in the JAMA Neurology looked at whether certain diabetes medications could reduce the risk of dementia. So we've talked about this a couple of times in different studies. And while most didn't show a clear benefit, GLP-1 medications stood out. Researchers analyzed 26 clinical trials involving more than 160,000 people. They wanted to see if medications used to manage type 2 diabetes, especially those that also protected the heart, could help prevent dementia or cognitive decline. Here's the big finding. People taking GLP-1s had a significantly lower chance of developing dementia compared to those who did not. The effect wasn't seen with other diabetes medications like SGLT2 inhibitors. That's huge, especially considering that people with diabetes already have a higher risk of developing dementia. The study showed a meaningful reduction in all-cause dementia with GLP-1 use, not just a trend. This was statistically significant. Now, the science isn't perfect yet. This doesn't prove GLP-1s prevent dementia, but it's a promising signal. Researchers say future studies should look even closer, especially at genetic risk factors like APOE4 and differences between men and women. If you're already using GLP-1s to treat obesity, this is encouraging news. You're doing something good for your body and maybe your brain too.
In story number 8, a new study suggests that people on GLP-1 medications like Zepbound, Mounjaro, Wegovy, and Ozempic are eating and drinking very differently, and it's starting to ripple through the food industry. Researchers from the University of Arkansas and Oklahoma State University surveyed nearly 2,000 people, including current, former, and future GLP-1 users. What they found was striking. People taking these medications reported eating less of almost everything, but especially processed foods, soda, refined grains, beef, pork, and even things like starchy vegetables and alcohol. It's not just that these people are eating less, it's also what they're reaching for. The only foods that saw an overall increase in consumption were fruit, leafy greens, and water. And while people still wanted those old comfort foods like soda and processed snacks, they just didn't feel the same urge to actually eat them. This isn't just a trend among a few people. The study notes that GLP-1 use has skyrocketed. Between 2020 and 2022, usage jumped 300%. In 2024 alone, tens of thousands of people were estimated to be starting these meds every week. That kind of shift doesn't just change lives, it changes markets. One of the researchers, Brandon McFadden, pointed out that while food company stocks were dipping, pharma company stocks were rising. And now brands are responding. Smoothie King has already added a GLP-1 support section to its menu, and one major food company launched a meal-in-one bar aimed specifically at people taking GLP-1s. The study also found that GLP-1 users still have cravings, but their behavior changes. The meds don't erase desire, they just make it easier to say no. This shift matters because around 42% of Americans have obesity and another 31% are overweight. That means a huge portion of the country could qualify for GLP-1 treatment. As the number of people on these meds grows, the food industry may have to keep adapting. Companies that once pushed salty, sweet, fatty snacks may start offering more nutritious, lower-calorie alternatives that align with GLP-1 users' changing habits. And this is just the beginning. A follow-up study is already underway to better understand the side effects people are experiencing. So if you've noticed your cravings shifting or your cart at the grocery store looking a little different, you're not alone, and the world is starting to notice. Yeah, no, I still have the cravings. I just don't always act on them. It's just easier to say no. I very much identified with that part.
Absolutely. All right, and that's the latest from the Downsized news. We hope you found today's insights helpful as you navigate your GLP-1 adventure.
And while you're here, don't forget to check out our Downsized store at thedownsized.org, where you'll find GLP-1 companion products and more to support your adventure.
Before we sign off, if you've enjoyed following the adventure Laraine and I are on and want to stay updated with real stories, insights, and tips about GLP-1 medications, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. Be sure you hit the notification bell so you never miss our latest updates and live streams.
Well, I guess that's it for the news today. I'm Laraine Durham.
And I'm Christopher Durham. We are the Downsized. We'll see you next week.